Welcome to Across Africa, our weekly look at stories from across the continent. I'm Georgia Calvin-Smith, and this week, South African double Olympic 800-metre champion Caster Semenya was discriminated against by World Athletics. The European Court of Human Rights backs her objection to rules requiring her to artificially lower her naturally high testosterone levels. Also, a Nigerian salsa instructor takes steps to dance the blues away. Emeka Adindu says the dance helps him stay healthy both in body and soul, and he's been using it to open up more conversations about mental health. And one of the world's top choirs, champions of the World Choir Games, pops in during a trip to Paris whilst on tour. Ghana's Harmonious Chorale have been blowing audiences away with their spine-tingling renditions of contemporary and classical arrangements. But first, South African Olympic champion Caster Semenya has been backed by the European Court of Human Rights in her appeal against rules that require her to artificially lower her naturally high testosterone levels. The 32-year-old runners refused to do so since the obligation was brought in by World Athletics in 2018. Caroline Lamberley has more.
It was a slender victory for Semenya Caster, but a victory nonetheless. On Tuesday, the European Court of Human Rights ruled by a majority of 4 votes to 3 that the champion runner had been discriminated against by rules in track and field. These rules, enforced by World Athletics, would require her to medically reduce her natural hormone levels in order to compete in major competitions. The court's decision came as good news for Caster's fans in South Africa.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited for Caster. Caster deserves all that's happening.
Go, Caster, go. I can't say it's really comment much because Caster have been winning. She's been doing good. She brought us a lot of awards. So we can cancel now. Just say, let's finish her race, let her finish her life, and let her finish her career.
The athlete has a medical condition known as hyperandrogenism, which is characterized by higher levels of testosterone. She has refused to follow any treatment. For years, Semenya has been battling World Athletics over the rules, which have kept her largely idle since 2019. She's already lost appeals lodged with the Court of Arbitration for Sport and the Swiss Federal Tribunal. But the latest decision issued by the European Court doesn't mean the battle is over for Semenya. World Athletics responded shortly after the verdict was issued, saying its rules would remain in place. The judgment will likely be challenged, and the case would still need to go back to the CAS Sports Court in Lausanne. Currently, there are no testosterone limits in place for male athletes.
Now, the Senegalese city of Thiès is at the heart of the country's national sport of lambe. Some committed practitioners of the wrestling art from around the world have even given up everything to relocate and take their training to the next level there. Take a look.
This is Shogo Wazumi, a wrestler from Japan. After competing at a national level back home, he set his sights further afield. He's now based in Senegal, and his mission is to master lambe, a local wrestling style that's become the country's national sport.
I just finished practice today with the team I'm practicing with right now. Every time I practice, I feel myself getting stronger bit by bit, so I feel a lot of joy and growth.
Lambe is anchored in ancestral war rituals and blends physical combat and acrobatics. Victory is declared when an opponent's back touches the ground. It's hugely popular throughout the country, and Wazumi first discovered this kind of wrestling during a trip to Senegal with Japan's aid agency in 2017. Several years later, in 2022, he decided to relocate to Senegal full-time and now lives with a community of wrestlers in Thiès.
The reason I like Senegal is that the Senegalese people have very warm hearts. In Senegal, as in Japan, we have a culture of hospitality, which in Japan is called omotenashi. But in Senegal, it is called teranga. When I came to Senegal, I was fascinated by this. Senegalese people live together with their families, and they all support each other in this way. That's my kind of culture, so I fell in love with Senegal.
Since moving to Senegal, Wazumi has also set up an academy to help around 36 students prepare for the next Youth Olympics. They're due to take place in Dakar in 2026.
Well, the power of the podcast is on the rise in Africa. Globally, the market for the medium is valued at around 13 billion euros. But so far, it's been largely dominated by Europeans and Americans. Many Africans say that the limited space for the telling of their stories is a challenge that shrouds many of the positive things happening on the continent. In Ghana's capital, though, a new wave of podcasters are producing programs to fill that gap. Our correspondents report.
Once every week, Isaac Aboa and Daniel Murky set up to record their podcast series, Change Africa. Each episode is roughly an hour and a half and showcases African thought leaders breaking new ground in their field of work.
Instead of writing books, instead of putting these ideas into complicated formats, they sit with us for 1 hour and they pour out everything that they have taught about for the past 20 years, all the work they've been doing so that it can be easily consumed, not just people on the continent, but the African diaspora and everybody who cares about Africa's development.
Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. How are you?
Today, Isaac is interviewing Paul Ninsen. Paul is the founder of the Decan Center, Africa's first photography library in Accra, Ghana's capital. Podcasts like Change Africa is part of a plethora that is breaking through the internet space.
We need more platform, we need more ideas, we need more systems, that people can be able to share their stories. And I'm very a strong believer on platforms and distribution outlets, that amplifies African content and African stories. So
why don't I just post it online?
With the high cost of internet, low connection, and little or sometimes no advertising money at all, many who started podcasting in parts of the continent have struggled and even failed to break through.
After you define what news is, what comes after that?
Theorose Gineku teaches new media studies at the Ghana Institute of Journalism.
I gradually guide them through the production, and at the end of the course, really, I have students coming to tell me that, we love it, we have an idea, we've started our own podcast, but overall, if they have literacy skills, they are able to learn it, and that's the point, the learning, the willingness to learn it.
This podcast, now in its third year, has audience in the United States, the United Kingdom, and Ghana, from where it is produced.
So get cracking, tuning into more African podcasts. You heard it here first. Well, Salsa is heating things up in Nigeria. Dancer Emeka Adinda is spreading his love of Latin moves and helping to take steps towards better mental health in a country where it can still be hard to talk openly about trauma and psychological difficulties. He's been putting on free dance classes in the Nigerian capital of Abuja since 2007. Take a look.
A step in the right direction. It's Friday night, and this couple has decided to trial a salsa class in Abuja, Nigeria. Teaching them the moves is dancer Emeka Adindu. He says salsa saved his life when he was struggling with depression. And now he's on a mission to spread the word.
Salsa was the only thing that could make me smile. All those days I was battling, fighting with my demons, with my past, with my everything. Salsa was the only thing that makes me feel like living.
The classes are free and open to anyone going through trauma or anybody wanting to let off some steam after a long work week.
It has helped me relieve stress. It has helped me build relationship between people. I've made new friends, and the dance keeps me fit.
Dancing away the night and the blues, Adindu says his goal is to spread happiness. Talking about mental health is still largely taboo in Nigeria.
People always easily identify physical health. Okay, I have malaria, I have diabetes, hypertension. I think it's normal. But then when it comes to their brain being ill, they start trying to find another way to explain it away. Instead of knowing that it is one more illness that can occur from my body malfunctioning, in this case, the brain.
It's estimated that 1 in 6 Nigerians aged between 15 and 24 are depressed, anxious, or have other mental health issues.
And finally, it's a tight squeeze here on Saturday as I'm joined by some members of the top choir in the world, or at least one of them, as they pass through Paris. Ghana's Harmonious Chorale were crowned 2018 champions of the World Choir Games on their first go at entering the competition. Now, the choir's award-winning performances are of classics, but also of original pieces composed by its director. Now, Emmanuel Osanyako is the choir's spokesperson. Emmanuel, thanks so much for taking the time to pop in. I know you guys are super busy, but give us a sense of, what's your plan here in Paris, and also what you think sets your choir apart.
Thank you so much, Georgia. Last week we were in Marseille area, and we participated in a festival in Provence. It was such an exciting moment to share the stage with beautiful choirs from around the world. And we can't come to France without passing through Paris. So we have two major concerts on Friday and Saturday that we are having. And then it's a privilege to come to your studios and then tell the world about it. And one thing that sets Harmonious Chorale apart is the fact that we have contributed, our body of work has contributed significantly to the choral map in the world. I can make mention of one at least. For the oratorio Joseph and His Brethren by G.F. Handel, for centuries has been in obscurity, but it took Harmonious Chorale to bring life to it and presented in 2017, and it's doing so amazingly well on all online digital platforms as well as our YouTube channels. So this is something significant we bring to bear, not just in Ghana, but on the African continent, projecting choral excellence in music.
Thank you so much. Well, we're lucky enough to be able to sneak just a little snippet of some of your performances. But before we go, just remind us of the dates of those shows.
Okay, it's Friday the 14th and Saturday the 15th. Yes.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Okay, Harmonious Chorale, take it away.
Dana Mefana Yehowa say Wania o Yemameda
Dana Mefan she Yehowa nemu Wania o Yemameda Memoning Koji Kuruani so Namabonidi Atraman Sengina Meshiranidin Medina Dansier Wania Yemameda.
That was amazing. Sometimes I just get so excited at how lucky I am. Thank you so much for coming in, Harmonious Chorale. We wish you the very best of luck with your shows. For those of you who are in Paris, do try and catch them if you can. That is all we have time for Across Africa. Thanks for joining us. Do so again. Take care.